Hold on, I gotta make sure this is real. Mic's on. Hey, we're live, pal. What's going on? Andrew
We're
Zarian,
back.
how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm tanner than usual.
So your absence, which we'll get to in a second, you actually did
Yeah,
positively do some things, especially for your tan.
I did. I laid in my yard a lot, and I did a bunch of push-ups. I lived the prison life for about 2 weeks.
You and Dom.
Yeah, yeah. What a wacky 3 weeks of my life. I'll tell you that. Just
Well, I mean,
out of control.
the information that you had sent us, I mean, it was a serious situation, right? So
Yeah,
you
very.
guys had to deal with something that parents, I'm sure, do not like to deal with, but turns out that, the news wasn't as bad as you guys had thought. So
Yeah,
hopefully that's a positive thing.
yeah. We're kind of. I mean, not totally in the clear yet. They still nothing is official, like ruled out, but everything is pointing towards it's going to be okay. Uh, so kind of give a quick summary here because we spoke about a Matman, but I haven't done an F4W, and a lot of people were curious about my absence because I didn't really address it on any show. I just said I'm taking a hiatus and I disappeared for 2.5 weeks. Um, so my daughter, she was limping around for like a week. And then she developed a little bit of a fever, so we took her to the doctor. Doctor said go to the ER because it could be like an infection of some sort. First, they thought she had a bacterial infection uh, in her leg from a mosquito bite because she was at the beach, she was at a water park.
Hmm.
It's the summer, so they thought it was a bacterial infection. Then they thought it could be viral. That was ruled out. They did an MRI and they found a tumor on her femur. So they went and did a biopsy. Every worst case scenario is playing out in your head throughout this process. The hospital experience was not the greatest, even though according to I'm going to read something to you, Garrett. Okay, I'm
Okay.
going to read something to you. According to a world heavyweight champion, they said it's the most magical children's local medical facility in the world. They wrote that to me about the hospital that my daughter was at. After they found out the good news, obviously. But they were leading us on to oncology, and they were telling us 100% she needs surgery. They have to cut a piece of her femur out to remove
Hmm.
the tumor. And then they called and they said, well, the biopsy was inconclusive. You need another biopsy. We found this amazing specialist. He's oncology, but he specializes in ortho, in pediatrics. And we were in there for like 3 minutes, Garrett, and he looks at it. He goes, it's not a tumor. It's not cancer. It's something called CRMO. What he believes it is, right? It could be. He's like, I can't rule anything out. We need to give this time, but every indicator is pointing that it's this thing called CRMO. It's a very rare autoinflammation disorder that can look like a tumor on scans, and it creates, possible fractures at times. And it's very rare, but it's more common in like 7-year-old girls. And
Wow.
we went from the worst 3 weeks of our lives, thinking every bad case scenario that you could ever imagine, to just we're back to normal. And I'm still, you're still shaky from that kind of experience, right? Like you don't fully
Right.
recover. Like it's not like a switch goes on and off. You're like, wait a minute, this is this was very traumatic for everybody. And
Yes.
she's doing okay. She's still limping around a little bit. She has a little bit of pain, but we got an MRI in 2 months. We have an X-ray, I think, in a week or so. So, and he said just take Motrin. But
Wow.
holy moly! I mean, really, and I got to say before we go into to the news and stuff, wrestling, I love it, but it's not my livelihood. I do this because I love doing it. I love hanging out with Garrett. He's one of my good friends. Rich too. I surround myself with really people that I enjoy to talk to, and that's why we work together. John too, our producer, 13 years, he's been working with me. The 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 amount of people that reached out, strangers, that I don't communicate with, right? Like these are people that just listen to the shows or follow me on Twitter or saw a Reddit post somewhere. The amount of, I mean, just positive thoughts that were sent my way was unbelievable to see. People within WWE, wrestlers, same with AEW, talent wise, management wise, just it really, we talk about this and we have fun doing this, but the fact that it's a very small community. Even though there's millions of people that watch the product, it's still a very small community, and you don't realize the outreach you have and the impact that you have on people until something like this happens. And I'm truly, listen. I'm not. I don't ever preach like this, but I really am so blessed to have this in my life. I really, really am. Is it luck that I got, we do this? Is it just hard work? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. I'm very lucky to have people in my life like this. So I'm very thankful to all of you guys. Everybody from F4W, everybody from, the Matman group, everybody. It was just awesome to see. The guys from Fightful, every day I got a message from them. They wanted to know an update. I mean, it was just amazing to see, and it really helped. It helped unbelievably.
Look, man, I've been involved in online community since late 1999. And back then, people were so apprehensive because no one wanted to get catfished, right? It was the whole thing of, you don't even know who you're talking to. Everyone behind this computer could be a killer. And my entire career has been based on online community. And you know that I
Yeah.
love getting people together, whether it's through the Discord, the Fight Game Media Discord. Just with you, we've created a really cool relationship just by doing this show. Like, we've literally hung out in person twice, maybe, I think 2 or 3 times, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
the first thing when I heard the news, I just wanted to make sure you guys were okay and immediately wanted to see what was up. So, community is great. Find yourself a tribe, man. That is super
Yeah.
important. Find your community because it is so beneficial and helpful in situations like this. And I think the last thing I would say is, you know, you as a parent, you as a human, it can be very easy to just like cut everything out of your life in moments like this. Like, hey, I need to focus on this.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters. And that is kind of, how it should be. But at the same time, you were very like I could tell that you were dealing with something, but you were also very cool and calm and as much of the same Andrew Zarian as you could possibly be while you were going through this crisis. So kudos to you, kudos to your wife and your family. So happy that everything like you said, not out of the woods, but that it's not what you originally thought it was, which would have
It's
been
not, yeah, it's
really,
not it's
really
not
sad.
cancer. Yeah, it's not cancer. As of, listen, I hope they don't come back and say no, we made a mistake, but the biopsy's not indicating anything, it was the hospital experience, and I said this on Map Men, okay? And I don't ever get into the whole political conversation, right? This is a non-political thing. But, you know, I'm blessed to be in a state of privilege, right? I live in a good neighborhood. I work hard. My wife works hard. We make good money. We don't have the financial fears that a lot of people do. We have full health coverage. I mean, amazing health insurance coverage. And we were at the best of the best hospitals. And our experience there was borderline shit, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
They pass the buck. You're just another number. You're just another patient. Every 6 hours, there's somebody new. They don't really articulate too much with you. They don't communicate too much for you. And I could not. And my wife and I were talking about this. After everything happened, we said, if we didn't have the ability to advocate for ourselves, for any whatever reason, if it's financially, if it's a language barrier, if it's fear of, whatever, uh, I don't even know how we would have managed that situation, and I can't even imagine a poorer experience. Poor, not financially, but just low level care. And we were at a multi hundreds of millions of dollars that's been invested in this facility. I mean, we were at the best of the best, and it was still like whatever, next person. And it was a real eye-opening experience, to be at one of the best places and still be given subpar treatment.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like legally. I'm not suing. I want to express this a little bit because I couldn't believe and this is a kids hospital, right? This is a
Yeah.
children's hospital. You take a little bit more care with kids. You explain a little bit more to the parents because you don't want to give them the state of fear. But instead, we got I mean just I'll tell you off the air some of the stuff that we experienced, like fudging numbers, fudging names on, erasing the name of the doctor, essentially changing people. It was uh, bizarre, and I don't, it was the experience that we had, and I feel, things turned out great for us. My heart breaks for people when it doesn't turn out positive. Just experiencing this much of it, it was terrifying to me. Terrifying.
Well, you know, it's hopefully that part of it is behind you, and we can move on. And I
Yes, sir.
know that the world champion who sent you the nice note, that was very nice of that
Yeah.
specific world champion. So,
Yeah.
hey,
Total
so
mensch.
th-
Total
I
mensch.
don't I don't know if you've heard, but there's this giant show happening in London. I'm getting a little FOMO. I have to say. I think Dave and
Are you?
Brian leave
You're not
leave
there.
tomorrow. I'm not going to be there. I chose not to be there.
Can I
You
can
know,
I just cut you off? You
obviously,
have FOMO with that? Can I be
yeah,
upset for 1 second? I'm gonna
yeah.
be very upset, okay? There's a new video
Mhm.
game out called WrestleQuest. Did you see this?
Yes, I did.
Do you know who's not in it?
Well, I was going to say,
Garrett
if this
Gonzalez and Andrew Zarian is not in
if this show gets over a little bit, right? Maybe we get it in the next one. Maybe we yeah.
Vinny's
Well,
in
I mean,
it.
Brian and Vinny have been doing shows for almost 20 years on this network, so we're
And,
we're
and,
very
and let
early
me
in
tell
our
you,
career here.
Dave looks so jacked. I can't tell if it's Scott Steiner or Dave in the game.
He is. He's very jacked.
Maybe
It's
the
like
next
that.
one we'll get on.
So all in. This is a giant show. Uh, I think Sunday is going to be an interesting experience watching. Now, you've been on the record as saying you kind of like the early start to the pay per views, but this
Love them.
early, are you ready to watch All In while you're eating lunch?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna. You know how I'm doing it? I'm bringing my TV outside. I got a little wheelie TV. I'm gonna put my flat screen. Actually, I have it. I took it off. I had a TV. I took it off. I replaced it, and I have another one here. And I'm putting it on a wheel on a stand, and I'm bringing it into my yard. And I'm gonna barbecue, and I'm gonna drink, and I'm gonna watch the show in my backyard. I'm looking forward to a 1 o'clock start.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. And, for me, it's the pre show, which features one of the most highly pushed matches, at least for the challengers in this match. That starts at 9 a.m. So I'm going to be
Make
drinking
some eggs.
coffee and wiping the eye boogers out while I'm watching MJF and Adam Cole do their shtick and set up the double clothesline.
Yeah. Listen, I get it. I get that they have to be early, right? They're in London, 5 hour difference with me, 7 hour difference with you. But I look forward to this. There's nothing better than an afternoon of wrestling to me. I can't stay up till midnight. I really can't do it anymore. It's becoming harder and harder. John was at SummerSlam. He didn't get home till like 4 days later out of that stadium. It was unbelievable. It took him 4 days to leave that parking lot.
Wow. So let's. I think we're just going to take a look at the card, and if folks have some thoughts and want to shoot us a super chat or whatever, and have a question, we can throw that up. But before we even get to that, Tony had some comments at his presser today, and I guess the one comment that kind of everyone just thought about was that there's possibly a change in the card based off of some happenings that he cannot control. Did you hear anything else about this?
He actually scooped me with this because I was going to talk about it today. About a day or two ago, I was told that changes are being made. So I didn't know if it was regarding any kind of visa issues or they were just pivoting based on reception to certain things. Because there is a little bit of that also where some people are unhappy with the card. But I think a lot of that had to do with injuries. A lot of it has to do with politics. a lot of people imagine that the match would be the Elite versus CMFTR, and obviously that is not happening yet.
No.
But or MJF versus CM Punk, but that's not happening yet. I I did hear that there were some changes, but I didn't know the reason. Now I think there's a visa issue now, right?
There may be something with, I mean, obviously, whenever you deal with a different country, there could be issues with travel that you're sort of unprepared for, or maybe you should be prepared for. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's always kind of the thing that hangs over a card like this. So when I hear that there's changes, I just assume that something has to be related to an issue with the travel. And it's not, from what it sounds
Yeah.
like, it's not a Cash Wheeler thing at all either.
No, nothing with him.
So
I've heard nothing about that as a negative.
yeah, so I guess we'll have to wait and see on Dynamite what gets changed. Dynamite is already so packed as far as what is going to be on it. This is a true go home show too. I think this show is going to be kind of like a blink and you miss stuff. So keep your eyes open and drink that caffeine if you're watching Dynamite, because I think there's going to be lots of things going on. But yeah, so that was kind of the biggest thing to come out. Obviously, the number that they've done as far as ticket sales has been amazing, and they are still sort of on their way to possibly setting the record for most tickets sold as far as a wrestling event. And then there's that other number. I asked Dave, I was like, why are there two numbers? Why isn't it just a paid number? Why do we also add all of this other stuff into the second number? And he's like, there's two numbers because there's two numbers. That was his answer. But yeah,
did you see the question from Brandon Thurston?
about if
Tony?
he's going to report, like, get an audit for like the real attendance or something.
Yeah, and he said, "What would WWE do?" And Brandon's response was, "They would count the ushers and ticket takers."
Exactly. They
I think, listen,
would do that.
the obsession over the number is baffling to me, and I don't like, why does it matter how many people paid? And obviously, over 70,000 people have paid, right? I think the paid number. Well, I guess, what did WrestleTix have? WrestleTix had like, paid was like 74,000, and attendance distributed was 80 something thousand.
I'll look and see what the latest is on that while you talk.
Yeah, I'm curious what it was, but it's a big spectacle, right? And unless you're into the financials of these companies, maybe you are, and maybe that's why you care. But if you're not, if you're just there to watch it, it's always impressive having 80,000 people in a stadium watching wrestling. It's a mega feeling show, and I think AEW knows this, the importance of the presentation of this, and that's what really matters at the end of the day. I mean, they're making them over, what is it, $13 million on this gate?
Insane.
Which is unbelievable. I think Dave gave the number, and then plus whatever the pay-per-view numbers are going to be. And Tony said this is the most pre-ordered AEW pay-per-view that they've had. So let's say they do 200,000 buys for this thing.
I mean,
times
that's
50.
that's a giant show for them if they do that.
If they do 200?
Yeah.
Yeah. Considering they're in a cold period right now.
Well, what is the record for them? I don't think the record is even 200, is it?
I thought it was 206. Wasn't that the Chicago one?
The one that we went to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can look that up too.
Okay, I got the number here. You ready? You ready for it?
205.
205. Yeah, that's the number. So
Yep.
Estimated paid, according to WrestleTix, this is according to 2 days ago, is 76,004. Currently, ticket distribution is 81,405, and they're moving fast. They also took out a whole bunch of local ads, like so much local advertising. And I think it's helped because they're moving about 100 and something tickets a day at this point. Maybe, and obviously the last couple of days you're going to see a big influx of this, right, after the go home. But I mean, 81,000 people in that stadium. We were talking 45. We were talking 60. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's an amazing accomplishment. Now, you mentioned this ticket thing, and I had firsthand of what ridiculousness comes out of this. So I won't name the name. People who know me will know, but a certain person who may or may not have done stuff in wrestling before tagged me and Dave in a tweet haggling on this WrestleMania 32 number. And when I
Okay.
say the responses that I got in my mentions from this tweet was like some of the like lowest uh IQ WWE apologist tweets I've ever seen. Like I'm not like being, I'm not being over the top with that statement. Just some of the dumbest stuff. Now there was also some smart tweets and some AEW pro AEW people who just wanted to diss this particular individual. But it is ridiculous what people are holding on to as if what the factual information is just not good enough because it ruins a memory in their mind. And that WrestleMania 32 show, which I was at, that's the one where you were saying that, Vince or Brandon Thurston was probably making fun of, saying, yeah,
Yeah.
ushers and ticket takers and counting. And Dave and I went through this whole thing the other night. But Vince even admitted that, it was kind of a fake number, right? So this
Yeah.
100,000 number or whatever is obviously clearly fake. Now, I was at that show, so many people there, tremendous, whatever the real number is, 79,000 or whatever Dave and Brandon Thurston say that real number is. Still, what a tremendous accomplishment, right?
I
So let's
believe the
say,
number was 80,709 tickets sold.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that was the number. But
whatever
you know why? But why
that
does it
is.
matter, right? Like
Okay, but
I get it. It's
here's my
tribalism. It's a
point.
religion.
My point is, if you are a fan of pro wrestling and you are of the belief that this thing that you like should be liked by other people, don't you want to see this record fall so that the next time we could beat it again, and the next time we can beat it again, and in 10 years maybe we get 100,000 tickets sold? Like, isn't that the goal of pro wrestling as a sport, which is to continually evolve and become more and more popular? Like, isn't that better for everybody? So
Yeah,
just
but it's
because
hard.
WWE fans get their feelings hurt, like they're clearly missing the big picture, which is WWE fans should want this number to fall. And the reason why is because the entire reason that WWE is hot right now is because AEW got hot. And Vince
Yeah.
had to pay attention. And he couldn't give us the same crap time over time. They had to make new stars. They had to bring Cody over. All of that is because AEW. So now let's say AEW beats this mark. Well, guess who's really going to want to throw the biggest party in the world in a
Yeah,
wrestling ring?
WWE.
WWE. That's going to be better for the industry. So all of you WWE apologists, smarten up. Like, understand the bigger picture in all of this. Like, this is good. This is what you should want because it makes WWE better when AEW does something really well.
So listen, WWE puts on a show twice. They do 2 nights of WrestleMania. They're breaking every freaking record. Right
Yes.
now they're at 45,000 tickets sold for each day for WrestleMania in Philly. They'll probably have about 65,000 people in those buildings by the time that, we get close to it. That's over 120,000 people over 2 days. Nobody does that. So we're not comparing apples to apples here. It's you could come up with every excuse, but why is that? If you what baffles me is if you are not into something, why do you hate watch it? Why do you obsessively argue over something that you're not into? Unless you are really into it and you're secretly, you like it. I don't know. I find that whole thing really bizarre. I don't think that way. I got friends on both sides of the company. I watch both products. And I'm critical of both when I have to be critical of both. And I've been very critical of AEW the last, not the last 2 weeks, but the last couple of months. I've been very critical of things that I don't like. So
You know how I know I'm doing my job when it comes to this stuff is when I have people who are AEW hardcores who tell me that I'm being too hard on AEW and not hard enough on WWE. And in the
yeah,
same show, have people on the WWE side saying that I'm too harsh on WWE and not hard enough on AEW. That's how I know I'm doing this thing correctly, because what you and I do is we cover business, and we also, look at the trends and look at what's working and look at what's not working. You know what we don't do? We don't put on our I'm a Vince McMahon guy hat and do the show, right? Because that's not how you do this kind of thing. Like WWE has their own podcast, which they could do stuff like that. But you and I, we look at this from a certain perspective, and we're not sitting here rah rooting for certain people. We're rooting for the whole industry to do well and to keep growing. That's what we root for.
Listen, if you look at my desk here, what do I have here, right? I got an Evolve poster. I got Bret Hart's shades. I got the WCW World Title, and I got Britt Baker's boots. and I got a Paul Heyman ECW thing. I like what's good. I like what I like. And I tend to like a lot of wrestling, and I have a specific type of wrestling that I really like, but that doesn't prevent me from recognizing what you might like and what's good for other people for growth of the business. Because if we were going to watch the wrestling that I specifically like, there would be about 300,000 people a week watching both products.
Oh, I just watched New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I'd be done with it.
There you go. That's what it would be. Yeah, that's what it would be. No, absolutely.
All right.
This is not a easy thing to achieve to have 80,000+ people in the building, no matter where you are. I know that they're in UK, and that's a little bit of a I guess a crutch they're using to say, well, look, you go to Europe, anywhere in the UK, you go to Europe, you go to the UK, an American product will do well. But I mean, it'll do well to an extent. 80,000 people is beyond doing well.
Okay, but you want to know the counter to that? The easy counter to that?
Yeah, give me the counter.
Is if WWE thought they could sell out Wembley, they would have gone to Wembley. And the problem is they can't get that check from the from the country
London,
that they want, or from the city that they
got
want.
In Cardiff.
Right, and they didn't do 80K in Cardiff. Yeah. So that's what you can see it. Now, after they just saw this show, could WWE go back next year and run Wembley and do a similar number? Absolutely. And I think they should definitely do it. They should do it. Why not? This is what I'm talking about when it comes to competition. Tony Khan's like, look at this show. And then in the back of Nick Khan's mind, he's thinking, we're going to outdo this dude. Like he's awakened a giant, right? And then when they do, then Tony Khan should go, I'm a step ahead of these guys. I already know where I'm going next. That is competition. That is how this thing works. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know why the whole the tweet bothered me so much, but I was just like, man, this is the worst of Twitter wrestling fans. Is who's it's like I don't. It's some sort of contest where the winner gets nothing. Like, and these people are just, it's like oxygen for them. Right?
I get it. Yeah.
Like, what do you get if you're a WWE fan and WrestleMania 32 number is still the biggest one? What do you get out of that? Like,
I mean,
just
great.
get to
let it be.
I mean, but
why?
Yes, but why? But why do you need to defend it as if it's like a family member? Like, what do you get out of? Is it a pride thing? Is it a I was right and you're wrong thing? That's the piece that I don't.
Garrett, one of my first memories of The Observer is when Dave, like the conversation around the WrestleMania 3 number. That is one of the first things I know about the Wrestling Observer, that Dave exposed them by the real number. What? Yeah. That's one of my first memories of The Observer, that it was a huge deal that Dave, it wasn't whatever the 193 million people, 93,700 and whatever. It was more like, what was it, 70 something?
Yeah, it was. I mean,
does that 20K change the impact of the importance of that match? Of Hogan picking Andre up and drop? Does it change anything? No, it's still one of the biggest memories in the business.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's tackle this card real quick in the second half of this show, because I'm very interested. You've mentioned that you've been a little bit more critical on the product. I have as well. And, I've started out sort of being critical of the product just because, I know this is AEW television because they came in as a counter option to WWE. So all of the people who were sick of WWE, they had this new thing, and I really enjoy, for the most part, a lot of stuff what they do. But I will agree with you in that of late it hasn't been as good. And I would say probably the peak is that show that you and I were just talking about, right? All Out
Yep.
2021, where we both thought like that was the best live wrestling show that we'd ever been to. And
Yeah.
from then on to now, it is not as good. And I think it's pretty clear that it's not as good as it was then. So let's look at this show. According to Wikipedia, and I know that there's subject to change, cards subject to change. So, like we said, there's going to be some changes in this show, but I just want to go through the matches with you and see what your interest is. And I think the pre-show match that I just talked about, the 0 Hour, this entire thing is based on MJF and Adam Cole as a tag team going after the ROH Tag Team Championship. The
Yeah.
thing that is prevailing about this show to me is that this show is not about a match necessarily in the main event. It is about the payoff or just the next step in a storyline. And that is kind of been what the bloodline has been about, right? Is
Yeah.
the match is important, and MJF and Adam Cole should have an excellent, excellent match. But I don't know if fans really believe Adam Cole's going to win. I think the intrigue is what happens in the storyline. And that is kind of what WWE has been doing so well over the last couple years is they have these PLEs, and within the PLE, you have these main events. But the overall thing is, okay, what happens next in the bloodline? That's what we're most interested in. So that is what AEW is doing with this show. So what do you think about having this match as a pre-show match to kind of kick off this show and then kick off what is going to be this storyline that you end in the main event?
I've gone back and forth on this. Um, for a number of reasons. One, what happens if one of them gets really injured, right? Then your main
That
event is out
is
the window.
that is a worry,
Uh,
and it is a worry because of, Adam Cole's been shaken up a lot over the last few years.
yeah. Which I'm not even putting that out there, right? I'm not putting that in the universe. But um, sometimes it's about the pop, and a lot of times it's about the pop, and you're kind of diluting it now because you're going to see it happen at 9 a.m. your time, and
Yeah,
then you're going to see it again in a couple hours. So I understand they need to tell the story there, right? And obviously that's the intrigue with this, that something will happen. Somebody's going to do something. Either Adam turns or Adam gets hurt or MJF turns, something will happen. Did it have to be done on the same night? Did you need to tell a story on this pay-per-view in front of 80,000 people? Or could you have done it on Wednesday, on Thursday, whatever,
that was
on
that
one
was
of them?
that was my thing. Was I wish they would have done this match on Dynamite instead.
Yeah, me too. But it kind of came out of left field. Like, why do you give a crap about the Ring of Honor tag titles? I know you've never held it, but why is this a priority for you? Shouldn't your priority be winning the World Heavyweight Championship? I think it's a little dumb. Why
Yeah,
would you want to wrestle before the biggest match of your career in front
no,
of the biggest audience ever in wrestling?
100%. But if you think about from the perspective of MJF, right now, there's a couple of perspectives here. If MJF is really a heel pretending to be a babyface, he wants to tire out Adam. Maybe he wants Adam to get hurt. Like that could be in his mind. But
Sure,
if he
yeah,
is a
and
baby
that, by the
face,
way, I agree with that. I get that. I totally
if
get
he
that
is
concept.
if he's actually a baby face here, and he's the one who's going to be babyface at the end, then it is about the joy of doing this match with his friend, who he then has to beat in the main event. So from MJF's perspective, I sort of get it. The perspective I don't get it from is Adam Cole's, because the only way that, from a psychological standpoint, at least to me, some people may have some other ideas in the chat, is if we have heel Adam Cole, and at the end of this whole thing, he's going to turn on MJF, and he still does not win the title, then who gives a shit? That's my thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But there may be other little details of this that I'm missing because I'm not I don't know too much about the kingdom and all of that stuff from the ROH and the simp Roddy Strong and what he's doing, and I don't know how that necessarily ties in his over the top acting. So I'm waiting to see that. But if what happens, which is what I think happens, is that MJF eventually wins this match, then I'm not exactly certain what the reason is to have this tag team title thing in the
And
beginning.
when does the turn come, right? Like, and let's, I hate fantasy booking, but let's do it, right? Because this is interesting. It's a story. I don't want to see MJF as an idiot babyface that got fooled, considering, he's one of the smartest people in the business as being this conniving villain. Nobody outsmarts him as a villain. So now you're going to tell me that there's a couple things. First of all, the fact that they're so buddy bothers me. So if that is part of the story that you're telling, like, it is a little weird that they got so buddy with each other, right? Because these guys just had a match. Adam Cole doesn't like MJF, and MJF doesn't like Adam Cole. So why are they so friendly? MJF doesn't like anybody. So maybe that's part of the story that, they're both thinking as a heel, and they're both trying to get a leg up on each other. Maybe that's part of the story. Maybe they both have something planned for the other one.
They're both planning the turn.
Idiots.
Who gets there
They're
first.
both planning the turn. Yeah. And you know what? I would love that, because then to me, it makes so much more sense. Like, oh, yeah, this is why you were kissing each other's ass. You really aren't friends. You don't care about the double clothesline. You're just waiting for the right moment. And that's why you both agreed to do this tag match, because you both have a plan.
Yes.
If that's the case, great. If MJF is going to look like a fool, that he got fooled by this, babyface and his idiot friends from ROH, I don't know how much that helps MJF as a character. And the same goes for Adam Cole, because Adam Cole should know better than to trust this guy, because you just became friends. You weren't lifelong friends. So there's a lot of elements here, which kind of adds to the story and it adds to the excitement, and I understand. It's just the execution that's going to matter.
My hope, and this doesn't really match with any of the storytelling as far as I can tell, but my hope was that at the end of this, they would stay friends and they would both stay baby faces. And the reason is because your apprehension of why you don't believe in the friendship, some of that has to do with the fact that you as a fan don't want to believe in this storyline. And then when they pull the rug from underneath you, as a fan will feel like a fool. That is the part that I don't like, which is I think a lot of fans are kind of going along for the ride because it's kind of fun. And some of the stuff is way over the top. Like I thought they jumped the shark like 2 weeks ago with it. But if the idea is that they're still friends and you watch through this pay-per-view cycle and you're like, oh, they just had a great match. They both raise each other hand. One of them won. We're going to go our separate ways and maybe come back to this thing. Then what you're doing is you're instilling belief in the fact that not every setup is to make the fans swerved, right? Feel swerved. Yeah. So that's kind of why I hope that they stick together. But hey, I'm with you. Like, I don't think it's going to happen. I think everything has sort of been set up so that they do break up. And I think that's also why there's apprehension in believing that these guys are true friends.
Unless you break them up, but they win those titles. It happens afterwards. Somebody does something. MJF cheats or Adam Cole cheats and he wins the title. And now they're tag champions.
Yeah.
There's so many different elements here. I don't know how, and I can't predict how that audience is going to love it. Listen, they could react in the most monstrous of ways and they could have planned something amazing and it'll all work out. It really comes down to that audience on, are they going to accept whatever they do? And that'll be the pace of the show, because your world champion is having a match at 9 a.m. Pacific, and then he's coming back out there to do it again. So unless they never get to do the match, that's another one. MJF gets taken out. And now the big question is, what is he going to do? And he worked the whole thing. It was a big setup from the beginning.
Man, that would be really sad that just no main event.
No main. No. He does the main event. He's pretending somebody took him out in the back. Roddy could have
Oh,
taken him
got it, got
out
it,
or
got it, got it, got it.
Kingdom,
I see what you're
and
saying.
he's like, "I'm
I see what you're
sorry,
saying.
I can't do the match." And Adam has to find a tag partner to go in that match with.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. That,
You know,
yeah,
there's
okay.
there's so many
I see what you're
unique
saying.
create. It's wrestling. You could do so many different things. It doesn't matter. Like I don't have an opinion on this. I like being wrong with my thoughts. I like being surprised. It adds excitement. But that show needs to end in a big way.
Yes. Agreed.
And I don't know what that ending is.
All right. Maybe I would say either the match that people are most looking forward to, or behind just MJF and Adam Cole because of the whole storyline thing. FTR and the Young Bucks. I've been pretty disappointed in the overall build for this. You can't. They're doing the Triple H Undertaker thing where they both meet in the middle and no one says anything and they just point at the WrestleMania sign. That's the build so far to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it should be a dynamite match. I hope that whatever happens with with Cash, if he works, that's probably means that they think he's in the clear. So I hope that he didn't do what they said, what is being accused. So FTR, Young Bucks, this is the classic, tag team, best tag team. Who's the best tag team? Are you are you in on this as much as I think AEW thinks that we're in on this?
Um, I'm gonna be so honest here. I don't think my opinion of this is correct because I was out of my mind for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't I was pretty numb to it. I watched everything. I didn't love the build, but
No,
that could also be
not at
because of
all.
my personal life and what was going on. So a lot of that I I feel like it should have been a bigger deal considering a year ago people were clamoring for this match.
Hmm.
People wanted this match a year ago, and this is the biggest way that you could have it. And you have two of the best tag teams in the world, two of the 10 best tag teams in the world, having one of the biggest matches they could ever have in front of the biggest audience. So I think that alone will make it a great match. I think the people involved will make it a great match. I don't think the build is going to matter as much at the end of that, at the end of the match. I think we're going to totally forget what they didn't do or what they did do
Isn't
and
that
just be
kind of
happy
what
that we got to
Tony?
see it.
That's kind of what Tony Banks on, it seems, right? It's like even if the build isn't great, the match is usually good, so people forget about maybe the
Yeah,
lack
that's
of
fine.
build or whatever.
Listen, I
I
can't remember the build to their previous matches.
No,
Like
me
I
neither.
really I have no memory. I just know that they've had amazing matches. That's my memory of them. So I guess the
I
build doesn't really
remember
matter when this caliber.
I remember the tweets from when they were in different companies more than I remember the
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
content. So I guess the thing to mention here is this was not the original plan for the Young Bucks. There was other stuff that they were planned for, and thankfully Tony, changed it because this is way better than what the
What
rumored
was it?
original match. I want to say it was. It's like they were supposed to be in a 6-man or something, and I think if you read Tony's note today, where he said fans are upset that Kenny Omega's in a 6-man, and he's like, but the original All In, it was the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega in a 6-man. So I don't know if that makes it any better. I just think that they got 2 shows that they need to book, and you can't, you probably want one of these matches to set up a Kenny Omega singles in for All Out. But I did hear that, yeah, originally it was going to be a little bit of a different match, but this is way better. And so kudos to him because this is actually there is something to this mythical greatest tag team in pro wrestling. And I think I hope that the match is smart in the sense that these guys are going to go all out. They're probably going to be hurting after. I get that. That's just the style today. But I want it to, they're going to have time, and so I want it to be a really great story at the same time. So that's what I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to.
wasn't it Kenny versus Penta? What was that match?
The original Kenny Omega match.
Yeah. Yeah, who wrestled Penta?
Are you talking about for the original All In, or are you
All
talking
in.
about for All In 19 or 2018?
2018. Yeah. Yeah, it
um,
was.
it was so the
You
card
had the Golden Elite. It was Kota Ibushi and Matt and Nick versus Bandito, Rey Fenix, and Rey
and
Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio, and then it was
And
Okada against Marty Scurll, and yeah, you're right,
yeah,
Kenny against
and
Penta.
that match went over. That match went really over, and they had to cut this great match to 11 minutes, and Marty was never seen again. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
I mean, for other reasons too, but that was it. I mean, I think there was a big problem there.
Yeah, no, I misspoke. I think what Tony was saying is that people who are saying Kenny shouldn't be in a trios match. He's like, but
Yeah,
the original All In was main evented by a trios match, not that Kenny was in
yeah,
the trios match. So I got,
yeah,
yeah, that's so funny. Do you remember watching the original All In?
yeah. I loved it, dude. I couldn't believe it. I knew I. You know, it's funny because when I watched that show, that's one of the first shows that I watched with Jess too, like one of the first like non WWE shows.
Uh huh.
And she was like, she loved it. And she kept saying when we were in Chicago, like, oh, this reminds me of that show we watched. I thought it was a great show. They had 10,000 people in that building. Um, and I thought it was really good. And you saw Cody win the NWA title, and that was a big deal. Uh, there were a lot of cool moments here.
I think the DVD, the Blu-ray, goes on a pre-order tomorrow for that original show. I wonder what they're going to cut out of it, though, because there are some people on this show who we do not see in wrestling anymore. Tessa Blanchard is on this show.
Yeah.
Janela isn't, she's just he and AEW kind of split ways, but also Marty
Marty.
Scurll is on this show.
Yeah, I say
And
leave it, you know.
was Joey Ryan did something on this show too, right? Like he had
Oh,
like an entrance or something.
the gaggle of penises.
Yeah. So I wonder if you get the
Peni? The
full
penis druids. That's what it was. The
I
peni
wonder if you get the
druids.
full thing. Do you think they're going to cut anything out?
I don't know. You know, like I would say leave everything in. Don't take it out. Don't edit history. But the the Joey Janela stuff is yuck.
Like
So,
that's
I
a
don't know.
thing
I
that
wouldn't be
you could
upset if it was gone.
you could eliminate that and you're not actually removing a match. So, well,
Yeah, you
actually,
could
you know
remove
what
that
though?
and
You know what though? It's he comes out in the Janela Page match though. So how do you
yeah,
cut that part out? Because this was when
I guess you leave it.
he and Hangman were feuding. So I don't know if you can actually cut that out. You might have to keep it in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious though. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the rest of this show. We got 10 minutes left, so we're going to hurry through some of it.
I could go an extra
But
5 if you want afterwards. We could go a couple minutes if you have time.
yeah, we could. Are you saying that Lance isn't going to kick us off?
I think Lance will understand.
I talked to Lance. I finally interviewed Lance the other day.
Did you? Oh, I love
Yeah.
him. He's the best.
We did
He's
a
one guy that
one-on-one.
reached out every day. He's
You-
one guy
you
that
met-
reached out every single day.
You were mentioned on this show as well. It's on the Fight Game Media Patreon if anybody wants
I
to
gotta
check it out.
out.
All right, so Sheeta versus Tony Storm versus Saraya versus Britt Baker DMD. We have one women's match on this show. It's a 4-way. I kind of wonder if Saraya's going to win. Do you think Saraya wins this match?
I would say if there was a moment to put the title on her, they should put it on her now.
And then just get it over with.
And then just get it over with. Yeah. I think, listen, she had a very serious injury, right?
Yep.
And she made this return back. And she really was one of the first pivotal shifts in women's wrestling in North America, modern wrestling. Her and AJ Lee, really, right? They were the beginning of this. They were the anti-divas. So I do think there's a precedence of importance with Saraya, but I don't want to take away from anybody else in that match. Britt's great. Tony's fantastic. If I were to pick something, I think that title should be on Tony.
Yes, her new
maybe
character is so tremendous.
She's so tremendous, and Sheeta's fantastic also. So I like everybody in this match. I think this is going to be a very good match. I would say if there was an opportunity to put the title on Saraya and then you could take it off, whenever, Maybe at
I
the
mean,
next
you
pay-per-view, you
literally
could take it
have a
off.
pay-per-view the next week if you wanted to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, you could do it. You could do it and have a happy,
I
at
think it makes a
home
lot of
moment.
sense. Yeah. Darby Allin and Sting versus the Mogul Embassy of AR Fox and Swerve Strickland in a tag team coffin match. Darby's going to do crazy stuff. AR Fox and Swerve are going to do crazy stuff. I hope Sting does the opposite of crazy stuff. Just let
Joker
Sting put
Sting.
these two dudes in a box and let's move on. We'll get the good moment. But I'd hope that this is not overly long, and I hope people are not doing crazy things to where they can hurt themselves.
Yeah, I don't know about this. I love Swerve and I love AR Fox, and I've seen them wrestle a billion times, like in person, and I think they're both fantastic. The this was a little weird. I I don't know. I'm sure it'll be a fine match. I'm sure they're gonna love Sting. Maybe there's a surprise that shows up during this match.
Who's in the coffin?
Who's in the coffin? Imagine it's Goldberg. He just headbutts himself out of the coffin, just breaks right through.
That'd be hilarious.
It's like Bonk's Adventure. Remember that game for the TurboGrafx
Yes,
16?
I
Who just
do
headbutt
remember
everything?
that game.
Someone needs to
Yes.
Photoshop just Bill Goldberg on that guy. I I think this will be great. It's a great, Darby's gonna take a bunch of spots that are gonna look insane, and Sting is gonna do something that people are gonna go nuts for. And you have two amazing people, AR Fox and Swerve Strickland, in that match. So I mean, they've been around for a while. What, 35, and Swerve is younger, right? Swerve is 30. Oh no, 32. So they've been around for a long time. These two.
I hope Sting gets an incredible reaction. All right, Golden Elite.
He has to come out to Seek and Destroy, right? Tony has to do that. Can we put that out there? Forget about the Sting theme. He needs to come out to Seek and Destroy, like the WCW Sting music.
The Crow one? The Crow Sting guy you talking about?
Oh, I'll take the. You know what? I would take the Crow one, but I want Seek and Destroy was TNA.
Oh yeah, my favorite Sting entrance was the first WCW one when he was getting over. That was my favorite one. Okay, Golden Elite, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Hangman Page versus Takeshita, Bullet Club Gold of Juice Robinson and Jay White. I'm assuming of all those great wrestlers, Juice Robinson's probably taking the pin here. I like a lot of the matchups. I can't wait to see Kenny and Takeshita go at it. Kenny and Jay White go at it. Kota and Takeshita go at it. Hangman and Jay White go at it. Lots of good stuff in this match. But I would assume this is to set up maybe Kenny and Takeshita at All Out. I'm not 100% sure about that, but that would seem to be pretty logical. But what do you think about this one?
So I'm a little confused, right? Is Bullet Club Gold managed by Don Callis?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Is Takeshita in Bullet Club Gold?
No.
They're just associates.
Takeshita is managed by Don Callis.
Yeah.
Will Ospreay might be like a hitman for Don Callis.
Okay, Will Ospreay's a hitman for Don Callis. Okay.
But is anybody else in the Don Callis family other than Takeshita?
I don't know, but we'll find out. I want to see Takeshita and Kenny. I want to see obviously Jay White and Kenny. Juice Robinson is my all-star right now in that company. There's nobody better than Juice Robinson. Nobody's working. Nobody is working as hard as Juice. A lot of people were nervous about Juice when he came over on how he'll get over and what he'll do. And this guy is a maniac in the best way. I absolutely love it. And I love the Ass Boys being in the Bullet Club. I love that. Fantastic.
And then we also have Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, and the Best Friends and Penta versus Blackpool Combat Club of Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, and then some guys who are TBA. We don't know who Team TBA is yet.
Turnbuckle Al. He's a local wrestler here in the Northeast. And there's three of them. There's
Santana and Ortiz. There's Santana and Ortiz rumors out there that I've heard from a few different people.
I would love that too. Another great New York tag team. This is the match that you know how I feel about the Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
So I don't like the concept of the match. I understand it's a fun match for a lot of people, but it does nothing for me. Um, I would like to be wrong, and I'd love to say this is amazing. When I watch this, even the other ones I watch, I'm like, it's fine. It's fine for what it is. It's a car crash, right? And that's what you're watching. But um, somebody said Zach Knight.
Oh, is that
Isn't that
Soraya's?
Soraya's? Yeah. Someone brought that up. I don't know why he would be in it. Does that make sense for him to be in this match? I don't know.
I mean,
But
unless he's on TV this week.
unless
But
he's on TV this week.
why would he fly to Duluth, Georgia, and then go back to the UK?
I don't think he's going to Duluth, Georgia. I don't think anybody's going to Duluth, Georgia, to be honest, with those ticket sales. So, listen, I like the Blackpool Combat Club, but not having Danielson on this card has shown there's a lot of holes.
Yeah.
I think that's a major thing. Unless there's a big surprise to it, or having that surprise veteran on the card.
I would love to
That's
see
not here either.
Danielson on TV this week just to present the TBA guys. That would be cool.
Yeah, maybe. That'd be cool too. I'd love to see it. But
Stadium
are you excited for this match?
No,
Yeah.
not. I mean, I like the pairing. It's going to be chaos. I just don't like the idea of the Stadium Stampede match because that tells you there may be some pre-recorded stuff, a lot of stunt stuff, but also just the fact that these guys get hurt when they do these crazy matches, and that's the part of it where I'm like, okay, when you have war games with glass and people cutting through the thing, then maybe I'm not as maybe I'm sort of numb to some of this. So I don't want to see more chaos on top of chaos on top of chaos because then you're kind of taken away from other matches if that is the goal. So I want it to be a good wrestling match, lesser than a bunkhouse stampede all over the stadium kind of match. And also, if you're in that stadium and it's the highest attendance of all time or whatever, you don't want a lot of pre-tape. You don't want to watch a screen. You want to see what's going on inside the ring.
Absolutely.
So that would be the other thing. All right,
I can't believe that a Moxley match is the least liked match for me on this card.
Interesting.
Like that is baffling to me. The fact that Eddie Kingston and Moxley are in this match and I have almost no interest in it. Like the ending means nothing to me.
All right, Ospreay and Jericho. Ospreay just tweeted. He wrote, "True story. Cody asked me months after the first one, why weren't you at All In? My reply was, you didn't ask. Essentially, they forgot to message me to be part of their history. Think about doing business through Instagram Messenger. How crazy is that? Took long enough, but finally part of All In at Wembley Stadium. And I'm not all elite. I'm above it. Shots fired, Will Ospreay."
I'm into this. I want to see Jericho try to go 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Ospreay's fantastic. This match is going to be
so
great.
Good.
He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. So
I mean, you know what though? For the age, right? For his age, he is on the trajectory to be probably the best wrestler, like on that list of like greatest athletic, like in-ring performers of all time.
yes.
He's really something. It's so amazing watching him.
All right, last two matches. Punk and Samoa Joe. He showed up as what was he? The
Golden
Warrior. Vampire.
Golden Vampire.
Yes.
Was something blacked out on the shirt? Was that gaffer tape on it, or was that the look?
I have no idea. There's supposedly there's an origin of the Golden Vampire and what this character actually is. Like it goes back a little bit, but somebody, I guess they'd done it back in the day, and like, where did Punk work? In was it IWA or something? Someone had mentioned
Mid-South.
Yeah, something from back then. But anyway, I mean, who didn't know that with that physique, CM Punk has a very particular physique. And in a very fitted costume, it was like, oh, that's CM Punk.
It was gaffer tape. They did put no, maybe it's not. I don't know what the hell that is. I looked it.
Okay, after we just saw this in the Owen Hart Cup, are you interested in seeing this again?
Always, yeah. I'm into this. I love Samoa Joe, and I think Punk is great. They work well together.
Punk may have to
This
come
is
up
going
with
to
a new
be.
finish here, though.
He had trouble holding him up, but you know what? In all fairness, that mask came off halfway
Oh,
during
oh okay.
the go to sleep. So maybe that's what it was. But I
Because
think these guys
I'm
are going to have a
thinking,
great
I'm
world title
thinking,
match.
25 minutes in, is he even going to be able to do it that well for the GTS?
I definitely couldn't.
All right, MJF Adam Cole is your main event. We talked about that one already, so there's your card all in. I would say
Yeah,
all
man.
things considered, some of the first stuff I saw, I was like, wow, this is like a C+ card for a giant show. I think they got to like a B+.
There's only 8 matches.
It is 8 matches plus the 0 hour so far, and they could add more. And like you said, maybe by the time Dynamite airs tomorrow, some of this may have changed already, and
Yeah.
our information is old, but we'll see. But all right, we got through it. We were back this week. Hopefully, we can continue to be back. We're not going to be here every week. Stuff happens when it's kind of during our work week, but we try and do this show
We try.
as many weeks in a row as we can, and we'll always stay in touch with you at WLPF4W if you want to see the latest of what's going on with this show. But we went 3 minutes over. I don't have a DM from Lance yet, so maybe we're in the clear. For Andrew Zarian, I'm Double G. We'll see you when we see you. Peace out.